If you want to benchmark, we are twice the size of Monaco.
Some of the things that you've done have reached certain sustainability benchmarks.
We created more than 40 KPIs related to sustainability. In 2018, we diverted more than 300,000 tons of construction waste. We actually recycled that building material and used them in the build of the Expo itself. We sized the infrastructure to cope with any demands, whether we want to change them to residentials, hospitals, education. We actually built an actual physical mock-up. Announced numbers about the Expo is about 25 billion dirhams. I'm Ahmed Al Khatib. I'm the Chief Development and Delivery Officer of Expo 2020. I've been in charge and leading the delivery of planning, master plan, design of each building, each public realm, each iconic infrastructure, parking, signages, wayfindings, from the design stage to handing the keys.
How many square acres is this?
This is about 438 hectares. Okay, the event space is about half of that. The rest of it is the supporting infrastructure. If you want to benchmark, we are twice the size of Monaco.
Isn't it true that some of the things that you've done have reached certain sustainability benchmarks that are sort of new frontiers? You've produced some things that are a little bit different.
First of all, sustainability is extremely important to us. Hence, it's one of our main three themes: sustainability, opportunity, and mobility. We created more than 40 KPIs related to sustainability since day one. Those KPIs related to design, related to construction, related to operation. 30% actually of the mix of the roads comes from recycled tires. This is the first in the region. Our power consumption is much less than any other developments. The water we used and the concrete mix is much less than any other development. We have received 8 CEQUAL recognitions. This is the largest in CEQUAL's history to award such a project in such a scale. We worked closely with Arizona State University as well in order to help us with the guidelines. In 2018, we diverted more than 300,000 tons of construction waste away from landfill. We actually recycled that building material and use them in the build of the Expo itself. So 2013, this is the day when we all celebrated the big win and all were excited to host such an event, and we thought we had it all done and in place to commence construction. In 2014, a direction came from His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum not to demolish anything that we are going to build for Expo as an organization. So we had to come up with a new way of how we can actually build buildings that are flexible to host an event, at the same time flexible to cope with real estate demand in the future in 2020. And you can see we reached to this modular way of buildings that are very flexible to be attached together to each others, to be detached from each others, to be linked through bridges. We sized the infrastructure to cope with any demands, whether we want to change them to residentials, hospitals, education. We actually built an actual physical mock-up.
I've seen it done in Japan, I've seen it done in China, but still there's very few people in the entire world who are building full-scale buildings to test integrations. How do you coordinate these large grandeur experiences in such a short time?
So we realized that the time we have is not much to come up and reinvent the wheel. In 2015, for example, Expo Milan was there. It was a great opportunity for us to capture an Expo on real ground. So we actually had a team traveling to Expo Milan, living there all the time during the build, during the construction, and during the dismantling. We met a lot with the countries, we listened to the countries, we listened to the organizers. We sent our teams actually with their families, with their parents and their kids, to experience Expo Milan for a week, and when they came back, we interviewed the kids. What did you like? What did you didn't like? We translated those lessons learned to distances, walkable distances, comfort of visitors. We built actually a digital twin city of the entire Expo. Part of the lessons learned was like some areas in the Expo, for example, Milan or Shanghai was crowded. Some other area was like weak. Some other area entrances were like had huge traffic. Some other areas didn't have that much of traffic. It was literally how they say, building the plane while flying the plane. We didn't know everything. Things were developed as we move. Things we developed as we see things, as we walk it, as we test it. Number one priority was the visitor experience and the comfort of the visitor experience. Concourse it's not a straight line, it's curved to give maximum exposure for the country. The landscaping, you see it like it's very carefully selected. The benches, the location of the benches.
Yes.
This is just like to show you the amount of details, attention to
Yes.
details. We posted all pictures of Dubai and UAE on the social media. We asked the public, what do those pictures mean to you? Some of them said like tolerance, some said generosity. Those pictures were like the old picture of Dubai airport, a group of kids from different nationalities playing a soccer game together. So we collected those words. They were like more than 2,000 words. And then we had a workshop with young Emiratis from the entire country. And we told them, where would you place those words on the master plan? They placed respect next to sustainability pavilion, connectivity next to mobility pavilion, tolerance next to UE pavilion. And then we took those words and we actually worked with an Arabic calligrapher who actually designed the benches to those calligraphies. Our pavilion as a host nation and the host country is actually everything is outside the country's pavilions. You walk outside, you see the lines on the ground. Those reflect the old way of weavings, which we call it the sedu for
Yes.
the tents. You look at the trees and the landscaping. We used about more than 500 gaff trees. Those are the national tree.
What's changed between the day you started this? What's changed for you as a person, as a leader, a manager, a business person?
I developed a lot of strength in terms of when it comes to risks and risks management, the decision making. Of course, it went from this and now it's much, much wider. Management of people is something extremely important. And when I say people, I don't mean my team. I mean more of the consultants and the designers, everybody, because it's a big project. It's like within the Expo project, we have 42 projects. And each project is an iconic on its own, and it has its own unique challenges. One very important aspect that I learned is cost management and budget management. For a project of this scale, it's extremely important to actually model it, realize the value of every element of the construction. Do I actually need this? Does it need to be that expensive? So many tricks that we learned it through try and error.
Was technology a huge asset in terms of the rapid prototyping, the cost analysis, being able to switch out the materials and the mathematics quickly?
We spent 6 months on planning. We called it the mobilization period. During the 6-month planning, we put two main elements. One was the baseline program, which is the baseline schedule, and the baseline cost. We identified timelines for each one of the 42 projects across the site. Some of the elements were absolutely vague. We had no idea that we're going to build a Wasl. It wasn't there. We had no idea we're going to build the water feature. It wasn't there. Those were developed as we were moving. The technology part, we decided to use the building information management system, which is basically any design you reach to, you plug it into this model until eventually you reach to the bigger Expo scale. So the first two things that we had at the very beginning were the thematic districts and the infrastructure. So you place them there and you you detect all clashes that can possibly happen during the construction. So it's an expensive system. However, it gives you an early, precise detection of any clashes. So you can modify things, move things around. So many clashes we saw between the infrastructure and the building actually sitting on the infrastructure. Imagine if this is discovered during construction. Contractor will claim, you have to redesign, consultant will claim, you will lose time and money. One of the good things of the Expo legacy that the authorities actually now learning from the Expo are actually adapting this now into their systems.
What sort of subject matter experts did you surround yourself with that were able to take this idea of scale and then propagate it out efficiently?
Yeah. It's a team that actually can deliver anything, anywhere in the world.
Course.
And I'm extremely proud of every individual one of them. Putting the team together was like going to the gym and building muscles, okay? You need to become stronger and stronger to deliver such heavier and heavier construction delivery timelines and to handle the pressure. The team I have consisted of so many zones, okay? A zone for an infrastructure with a strong lead on the infrastructure, a zone for the buildings and with a strong lead on the buildings, a zone of the sustainability with a strong lead on that. We used to meet every week on a weekly basis. This is in offices, and we meet on daily basis on site. Decisions on the ground, a strong trust between the team themselves and the leadership of the team. And when I talk about the team, I don't mean only the team that actually reports to me. I talk about the contractors, I talk about the supply chain, I talk about the consultants and the designers. Announced numbers about the Expo is about 25 billion dirhams. And we had actually about 5 years to develop, to build that. You need contractors to work. You need supply chain that you trust. You need contractors that they trust that they will get paid on time. So you have to keep this flow of stream of payments to ensure because payments, it translates to deliverables, tangible deliverables. We need to listen to their pains, to their challenges, to the challenge they face with the supply chain, with everything. We had regular meetings with them. We went down to the workers themselves and to listen to the workers. The leadership is extremely humble. Her Excellency Reem Al Hashimi, she's very involved and she was very involved in everything. I didn't panic of approaching her at any stage with any bad news. I've always found the support from her. The same time from my colleagues, if there's any issue, anything, we sit together, even if it's not my issue, if not even related to my area. But picking everybody's brain was something extremely important.
I often like to say empathy and collaboration are the secrets to growth.
100%.
But
100%.
having a sense of being able to fail, that's something that I really see it around the world. There are businesses that still try to drive to an objective and they use pressure.
Yeah.
And now I see all over the world, and I'm really relieved to see it here, a sense of collaboration, normalizing failure and challenge, accepting it and embracing it as a learning moment. What is the internal self-talk that you tell yourself to get you through something like this?
To be honest, I reached to stages where I feel that's it, I'm gonna break, okay? And I just say to myself, it will pass. Strength, strength, strength. And it did pass, okay? And then it became better. Going through the first 2 years, it was like living and creating this culture, okay, between us. We've had so many challenges, like contractors, they bankrupt. Who's gonna lose if we get rid of them? It's us.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a fixed timeline and we're gonna lose a lot. Okay, let's see how we can actually carry them. Contractors couldn't cope with the amount of supply chain demands and everything.
Yes.
We chipped in. We had to cut corners, okay? If you stick to the normal process, you'll never get anywhere. We were just promising the world until a certain time that this area will be the amazing area that will host opening and closing ceremonies and daily shows, and it will be like the place where people don't want to move. but we actually didn't know what we were building. Now Al-Wasl is about, from building line to building line, is about 150 meters. It used to be 200 meters.
Wow.
How are we going to fill that space? How are we going to create all that experience that we promised the world with? We decided to go out in a competition with the 3 different school of thoughts. We had one who was actually, he was doing sculptures, okay? And we went with 2 architects with different scale sets. The 3 of them didn't know they were going into competition. They were competing. I didn't want to put a pressure on them, and the winning design was that one, what you see this. If you talk about Al-Wasl, actually it's an expo on its own, and
Yes.
it literally translates our theme, connecting minds, creating future.
It's an honor to speak with you so much. Thank you for making time today. I know you're very busy. I could stay and talk to you all day, but
Thank you. I can talk for years about this, of course.